It began the way most life-changing stories do, quietly and without warning. Almost like a dream, crystal blue waters, a mignon, his dogs, and endless freedom. But behind the smiles and the drone shots of paradise, something darker was brewing. A hidden story the audience never truly saw. Because what began as one man's escape from tragedy soon spiraled into a fight for survival, not just against the sea, but against himself. In this video, we're diving deep into the untold truth behind sailing Doodles. The heartbreaks, losses, and the storm no camera ever captured. Bobby White woke up one morning with what felt like an ordinary headache. He'd had long flights before, stress, dehydration, nothing unusual. But this time it was different. The world blurred. He looked at his phone and couldn't read the words.
Days, and then I had to head south because it's early September now and it's gonna start getting cold. So, I mean, it was already 57 degrees last night overnight. It's warming up now in the upper 60s.
A creeping panic took hold. Within hours, doctors confirmed what he couldn't imagine: a hemorrhagic stroke. The pilot, who had flown private jets across continents, grounded indefinitely, just like that. For years, Bobby had lived a life that looked, from the outside, like perfection. He flew Gulfstreams and Learjets for the wealthy, staying in five-star hotels, touching down in exotic places, and chasing the sun across time zones. It was precision, power, and purpose. And suddenly, it was all over. A pilot's license is fragile. The smallest health issue can strip it away. The stroke ended his flying career, and his identity vanished with it. Imagine training your whole life for something and watching it dissolve in a single moment. What do you do when your dream, skill, and your identity are taken from you? That's the question Bobby faced. And out of that darkness, he decided to do something radical. He sold everything: his car, furniture, nearly all his possessions, and bought an old 37-foot sailboat, a 1984 C&C he named Rough Seas. He took with him his two Labradoodles, Maverick and Goose, named after the pilots from Top Gun. He had no background in sailing and no real training. Just YouTube videos, borrowed books, and a stubborn need to rebuild his life. And so, in October 2016, Sailing Doodles was born, both a YouTube channel and a new life. At first, it was lighthearted. Viewers fell in love with these turquoise seas and the calm drone shots of white sails cutting through blue horizons. It looked like a fantasy, a man healing through adventure, finding peace on the open ocean. But the truth was more complicated. The boat was old, systems failed constantly, TT guzzled fuel and leaked water. The electrical work was ancient. Bobby had to learn everything: navigation, repairs, weather reading through trial and error. Every storm was a lesson, and every mistake was costly. He thought he had enough savings to cruise for a year in the Caribbean, but then the money was gone in 6 months. And that's not what the camera showed. The vlogs were serene: drone footage, slow pans of beaches, sunsets with reggae soundtracks. And that's what people wanted: an escape. But behind the lens, Bobby was working 16-hour days editing videos on a laptop that overheated in the cabin heat. He often uploaded from dinghies tethered to docks, searching for signals. In one interview, he admitted that sometimes it took 17 hours to upload a single episode from the middle of nowhere.
Justice to wave height, but you can see the bow just plowing into them.
My time is running out in the sun.
And then came the first real tragedy. In 2017, while Rough Seas was docked in Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria struck. One of the deadliest hurricanes in modern history. Bobby wasn't aboard when it hit, but when he returned, the damage was devastating. The mast was broken, the hull cracked, and everything inside was soaked or ruined. The buyer who had planned to purchase the boat backed out. Bobby couldn't afford repairs, and so he gave the boat away. Imagine it: your entire new life gone again. The dream that had replaced flying was now sinking. But Bobby didn't stop. Instead, he decided to move forward. Through connections in Thailand, he met Ron Patson, owner of Gulf Charters, who offered him a deal: deliver a 50-foot Beneteau called White Squall to Thailand, and it would be his. Bobby said yes. He started in Vancouver, joined by his partner and friend Laura, and together they began filming their journey across the Pacific. It was a new start, and for a while the dream seemed to be alive again. They traveled through Mexico, French Polynesia, and beyond, capturing stunning footage and growing a loyal following online. But YouTube fame is highly unpredictable. Fans love the lifestyle, but few understand its weight. Every adventure has to be filmed. Repair becomes content, and every mistake can turn into a comment section debate. As the channel grew, so did expectations. Viewers demanded uploads, sponsors expected deliverables, and Patreon supporters wanted constant updates. Bobby became not just a sailor, but a full-time filmmaker, editor, marketer, and manager. Behind the scenes, fatigue set in. Sailing was beyond just travel, it was survival. Constant repairs, engine breakdowns, and weather systems changing without warning. In one episode, Bobby said something that stuck with viewers. "You will break before the boat will." And that prophecy came true. In November 2020, Bobby was sailing solo off the coast of North Carolina aboard his new boat, Nauti Dog, a 56-foot ketch. The sea was calm until it wasn't. The standby anchor broke loose, its rode tangled the propeller. Transmission failed, and before he could react, the engine caught fire. Smoke filled the cabin. He tried to put it out, but the flames spread. The boat began to take on water. He called the Coast Guard, and they rescued him. But the damage was catastrophic. His home, livelihood, and his life, all nearly gone in one night. He later shared that insurance didn't cover the loss. Repairs cost over $100,000. It was a financial and emotional blow. At that point, the internet would have understood if he quit, but he didn't. He kept sailing and filming, because by then, Sailing Doodles was more than a YouTube channel for him. It was his identity and a second chance at life. But even as he kept moving, the losses kept coming. Maverick, one of his beloved Labradoodles in the heart of the brand, died in 2020. Goose went to live with Bobby's parents in Texas. The original Doodles and the furry faces that made the channel's name were gone. Fans mourned with him, but something in the spirit of the show shifted. Then came relationship strain. Laura, his longtime sailing partner, quietly stepped away. In a later video titled "We're Splitting Up, Not Clickbait," Bobby confirmed the separation. It was just the natural result of too much time, too many miles, and a life lived constantly in motion. The dream life was exacting its toll. Because the truth is, freedom at sea isn't always free. Boats are expensive. Maintenance, docking fees, and equipment failures. They eat away at your budget. The ocean offers peace, but it's also merciless. Saltwater corrodes everything. One loose fitting can mean disaster. And the loneliness, it seeps in slowly. There's no office, coworkers, and no stable internet. Just long days of wind, long nights of watching stars, and the quiet voice that asks, "How long can I really do this?" For Bobby, that voice never won. He kept going. The channel hit over 600,000 subscribers. Sponsors came in, content became more polished, and a Patreon community supported him. He moved to bigger boats, experimented with different formats, even started a podcast. He began to share more of the reality, exhaustion, burnout, and heartbreak. Because somewhere along the way, the story became about a man surviving the dream, and maybe that's what made it powerful. Sailing Doodles evolved into something raw, an honest look at what it means to chase freedom when freedom itself starts to feel heavy. Fans who once came for the turquoise seas stayed for humanity. And when you look closely, it's a story that goes beyond boats or beaches. It's a story about losing everything, twice, and still refusing to give up. Bobby's stroke stole his first career, a hurricane stole his first boat, and a fire nearly stole his second. But each time, he rebuilt and started over. That's not just courage, that's obsession. And maybe that's the heart of it. When you find something that gives your life meaning again, you cling to it, even if it hurts. So now, years later, Bobby is still sailing, uploading, rebuilding boats, and chasing horizons. His life looks enviable, but if you listen closely to his words, you hear the undercurrent: fatigue, reflection, gratitude, and pain. He once said, "The sea doesn't care about your plans. And that might be the truest line of all. Because the sea doesn't care if you're a YouTuber, pilot, or a dreamer with a camera. It tests everyone the same. And that's why his story resonates, because it's about endurance more than perfection. Every storm survived, heartbreak weathered, and every boat rebuilt. It's a reminder that freedom is never free, but it's worth fighting for. Let us know your views in the comments section.